Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is about something uncomfortable and consequential. It's about what happens when the values built into an AI system collide head-on with the demands of national security. And right now, that collision is playing out between the US Pentagon and one of the most powerful AI startups in the world, Anthropic. Over the past few weeks, a quiet but high-stakes standoff has been unfolding behind closed doors. According to multiple reports, Amazon-backed Anthropic and the U.S. Department of Defense, now officially renamed the Department of War, are locked in a dispute over how Anthropic's AI models can be used. At stake is a Pentagon contract worth up to $200 million, future defense partnerships, and potentially the precedent for how much control private AI companies can exert over military deployments of artificial intelligence. The core issue is simple but explosive. Anthropic has built hard safety guardrails into its AI models, including Claude, that are designed to prevent certain types of harmful use. According to people familiar with the discussions, Anthropic has raised concerns that without those safeguards, its technology could be used to target weapons autonomously or to conduct domestic surveillance on American citizens without sufficient human oversight, and these restrictions are not policy statements or usage guidelines that can be flipped on or off. They're baked directly into how the models are trained. From Anthropic's perspective, this isn't a theoretical concern. The company believes that once AI systems reach a certain level of capability, the difference between assisted decision-making and fully autonomous action can collapse very quickly. That's especially true in military and intelligence contexts, where speed, scale, and automation are often treated as advantages. Anthropic's position is that there must be clear limits, even for democratic governments, on how AI can be used. The Pentagon sees things very differently. According to Reuters, Pentagon officials have pushed back aggressively against Anthropic's restrictions, citing a January 9th department memo on AI strategy. That memo argues that commercial AI systems should be deployable by the U.S. military as long as their use complies with U.S. law, regardless of a private company's internal usage policies. In other words, if something is legal, the Pentagon believes it should be allowed, even if the AI developer disagrees. That disagreement has brought negotiations to a standstill. After months of discussions under a contract valued at up to $200 million, sources say both sides are stuck. Pentagon officials have reportedly bristled at the idea that a Silicon Valley startup could dictate how military and intelligence agencies deploy AI systems. At the same time, the Pentagon may not be able to move forward without Anthropic's cooperation, because Anthropic's models are explicitly trained to avoid taking steps that could lead to harm. Retooling those systems would require direct involvement from Anthropic's own staff. This tension is unfolding at a particularly sensitive moment for Anthropic. The San Francisco-based company has invested heavily in courting U.S. national security clients and positioning itself as a serious long-term defense partner, alongside companies like OpenAI, Google, and Elon Musk's xAI. Anthropic was awarded Pentagon contracts last year. Walking away from that ecosystem, or being perceived as difficult to work with, carries real financial and strategic risk. Just days before news of the Pentagon dispute became public, Amodi published a sprawling 20,000-word essay outlining his views on the proper use of AI. In it, he argued that while AI should absolutely support national defense, there must be firm limits to prevent democratic societies from drifting toward authoritarian behavior. He wrote that AI should be used for national defense in all ways except those which would make democracies more like their autocratic adversaries. He identified domestic mass surveillance and mass propaganda as bright red lines that should be considered entirely illegitimate uses of AI, while some argue that existing laws, such as the Fourth Amendment, already prohibit these abuses. Amodi warned that rapid advances in AI could create scenarios that current legal frameworks were never designed to handle. For example, he pointed out that it might not be unconstitutional for a government to record massive amounts of public conversations, such as things people say on street corners. Historically, the sheer volume of that data made it unusable. But with AI, those recordings could be transcribed, analyzed, and triangulated at scale to infer political attitudes, loyalties, and social networks. Amodi argued that stronger guardrails, potentially even constitutional amendments, may be necessary to prevent AI-powered abuses of civil liberties. He was more nuanced when it came to fully autonomous weapons and AI-driven strategic decision-making. These, he acknowledged, could have legitimate uses in defending democracy, but they are also uniquely prone to abuse. His primary concern was concentration of power. If AI systems become powerful enough that a single person or a very small group could effectively operate a drone army without broader human cooperation, the risks escalate dramatically. As AI systems grow more capable, Amodi suggested, oversight mechanisms may need to involve multiple branches of government, not just the executive. This philosophy puts Anthropic on a collision course with the Pentagon's current direction. Under the Trump administration, the Department of War has been pushing aggressively to integrate AI across the armed forces. Earlier this month, it outlined a new strategy aimed at transforming the U.S. military into what officials described as an AI-first fighting force. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has publicly stated that the military will not rely on models that won't allow you to fight wars. From the Pentagon's perspective, retaining full control over how AI tools are used on the battlefield and in intelligence operations is non-negotiable. That difference in worldview is what makes this dispute so significant. This isn't just about one contract or one company, it's an early test of whether Silicon Valley can meaningfully influence how powerful AI systems are deployed in military contexts, or whether governments will ultimately override corporate ethics in the name of national security. After years of tension between tech companies and Washington, AI developers have found themselves back in the government's good graces, but this standoff shows that alignment is fragile. The conflict also reflects deeper unease inside the tech industry about government use of AI for violence. Amodi has previously spoken out about fatal shootings of U.S. citizens protesting immigration enforcement actions, describing them as a horror. Those events have compounded concerns among some Silicon Valley leaders that tools they build could be used in ways they fundamentally oppose. Anthropic insists that its AI is already extensively used by the U.S. government for national security missions that fall outside the disputed lethal categories. The company says it remains in productive discussions with the Department of War about ways to continue that work, but the fact that negotiations have stalled suggests neither side is willing to simply back down. For the Pentagon, the concern is precedent. If Anthropic succeeds in enforcing its usage restrictions, it could embolden other AI developers to impose similar limits. OpenAI, Google, and xAI are all navigating their own defense relationships. A world where military access to commercial AI is conditional on corporate ethics would represent a significant shift in how defense procurement works. For Anthropic, the risk cuts both ways. Standing firm reinforces its identity as a safety-first AI company and aligns with its public messaging, but it also risks alienating one of the largest potential customers on Earth, at a time when competition among AI developers is intensifying, and scrutiny from investors is increasing ahead of a potential IPO. What makes this moment particularly fraught is how fast AI capabilities are advancing. The safeguards being debated today may look quaint in a few years if systems continue improving at their current pace. Decisions made now could lock in norms that shape military AI use for decades. This is why the dispute matters far beyond Anthropic and the Pentagon. It raises uncomfortable questions about who ultimately controls AI systems once they leave the lab. Is it the company that builds them, the government that licenses them, the laws that govern them, or the institutions that deploy them under pressure? Right now, there are no clear answers. Only a standoff, a stalled contract, and a rapidly closing window to decide how much autonomy is too much. That's where things stand. AI is no longer just a tool for productivity or creativity, it's becoming an instrument of state power, and the fight over how it's used has already begun. If you enjoyed this video, then do like and share. For more regular updates, do subscribe and click on the bell icon. Thanks for watching, this is AI Tides, and I'll see you in the next one.